the only image. It's ridiculous. Like they don't have a CEO. There's no centralized sort of information hub and governing body for college football. And this is what happens when you don't have it. This is why UFC caught up to boxing. Because UFC had Dana White, and he made, here, you didn't have to like Dana White, but this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're doing it, and this is where the fights are at, and this is when they're happening. And boxing had Don King and Bob Arum and a million promoters all with their, all their hands in it trying to govern it. College football needs a CEO. And they don't have one. That's why the NFL's been great with COVID, and the NBA and hockey and baseball, they've all been great with it. They have a centralized figure, a uniform, centralized figure that makes all the big boy decisions. College football, it's every conference for themselves, and it's been a mess, and this is what you get.
It's a multi-billion-dollar business with no one in charge.
Seriously.
What a shock. It
would go wrong
perfectly
when you have a massive pandemic. Yeah. Other thing, Jalen Hurts, starter in Philadelphia. Howie Long joins me in 5 minutes, so we'll get to that with Howie Long, the Hall of Famer. First of all, big upset last night. I don't think it's that big because I don't think Pittsburgh's that great, but Washington beat the Steelers. Everybody was surprised. But you know what? I just haven't bought into Pittsburgh over the last month. I haven't. And the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't just lose last night. They're now forcing on a regular basis Big Ben to throw over 50 times. Not good. The injuries are piling up. Not good. They don't even attempt to run the football. Not good. And they struggle to put away average teams. Not good. Last night they finally lost. And there are certain things that I look at and I just see other things. And I'll give you an example. Remember the movie Invincible, Mark Wahlberg, the bartender? It's a true story. He's a bartender, blue-collar guy, loses his wife, and he tries out for the Philadelphia Eagles. A tryout. He's just a regular dude, and he makes the team for a couple years. But when I watched the movie Invincible, it's a fun sports movie, Greg Kinnear, Mark Wahlberg, what I really see is, it's just Rocky with football. It's a tough Philadelphia guy, not making it, has a big dream, the bartender, Rocky, Sylvester Stallone, and they make it in Philadelphia. I can't watch Invincible without seeing Rocky. It's Rocky with a football. And I'm watching the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you know what they are? They're the Patriots last year. Patriots got off to this 8-0 start. We were like, wow. And all of a sudden, the games got closer, and they were asking more of Brady, and the results weren't good. Big Ben's had a passer rating last 3 games in the 80s. And they were asking more of Brady, and there was a couple of losses, and all of a sudden you look up, and here's what Pittsburgh is. Early in the year, Ben was 103 passer rating, throwing 35, 36 times a game, 7 yards a pass, 22 touchdowns, 4 picks. Weeks 11 through 13, they're the Patriots. I can't unsee it. And then all of a sudden you looked at the Patriots, and they weren't getting blown out at the end, and Pittsburgh won't get blown out. They were losing close games to Houston. They lost a close game to Kansas City. They lost a close game to Miami. And then they got one and done in the playoffs by Tennessee. They are the Patriots last year. This is exactly what New England was. We paid them so much respect because of the brand and the name and Big Ben and Brady and the coach. They're just not dynamic. Look at them. They can't run. They don't want to make Big Ben throw 45, 55 times. That's what they have to do. They're not doing what they want to do. They're doing what they have to do. I mean, just injuries piling up. Think about this. Mike Tomlin eviscerated the Steelers a week ago. Just called them out. Said the word suck. We suck. What did he do that for? To mobilize the forces so the fellas like, okay, coach is upset. Focus in. No, they were worse the following week. Because this is what they are. They're not a great football team. They're a good football team. 1 week from now, they face Buffalo. They're going to lose, and when they do, they'll no longer be the top seed. Similar last year to New England. Lost that last game to Miami, and they lost the bye. Similar when Gronk left, New England really struggled in the pass game despite Brady. And since Le'Veon Bell has left the Steelers, do you know what they are in rushing? 31st 1 year, 29th the next year, and 29th the following year. They're the same team, invincible and rocky with a football. This is the Patriots last year. It's the same thing. We gave them so much credit. Then you look back at the 8-0 Patriots and you're like, what were the impressive wins? And you look back at the Steelers, and they had one or two, but you're like, it's a bunch of stuff over the Jags and Cowboys, and what am I supposed to be? That big win over the Bengals. Last year, Patriots crushed the Jets and Giants. They were both awful. The Bengals this year, not good. Cowboys aren't good. And I'm sorry, but this is what they are. We paid them so much respect for the 8-0 New England start and the 11-0 Pittsburgh start. Watch the games. There's no there. Mike Tomlin after.
We just got to make routine plays routinely. And I say that often, but there's a lot of truth to it. I'm just worried about us fluidly moving the football, whether it's run or pass. We move it how we choose to move it. The way that we chose to move it tonight wasn't fluid enough for us to have victory.
One of my favorite guys ever on a microphone, Mike Tomlin. Please, networks, hire him after he retires.
The news. This is the Herdline News.
And they won it last year in kind of crazy fashion.
Remarkable.
They had so many injuries.
And still won it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like, Carson Wentz's play is unacceptable.
Yeah, you can play Jalen Hurts. I'm not losing any sleep on that. But this whole thing, fire the coach, do this. Like, settle down.
That's not what championship organizations do.
That's right. Yeah, bad years.
So the Washington football team took down a championship organization team, undefeated Steelers last night, 24-17.
Dominating.
I don't know if it was dominating, but they did win. Chase Young was not surprised by the turnout. Following the game, Young said the team just felt it, and he thinks the Steelers were exposed in their loss last week to the Ravens. Browns defensive end Myles Garrett took to Twitter to hint that the AFC North crown might be within reach. He tweeted the Steelers might have opened the door.
They did.
I personally love this.
I'm here for it.
Because there's nothing better than the Browns talking trash and taking it out. So I think say more Browns. Congrats. You're 9-3, and they're going to play in Week 17, which will be a tremendous game with a lot on the line.
Cleveland, remember who has always supported you through thick and thin? Uncle Colin. I have always had your back in all harsh instances.
Yeah, I think everyone is, look, the Steelers have some significant injuries. They are not running the ball. They had way too many drops last night. Looked very undisciplined.
By the way,
they've got to get it together.
They are a drop machine.
What's interesting about the Steelers, though, is not the Browns, because, come on. It's not the Browns. It's the Chiefs. So, because you're trying to get that bye. Right? So the rest of the Steelers' schedule, obviously they have the Bills, which is going to be a very tough game.
Yeah.
Then they have the Bengals. The Colts, which is not a gimme game at all. And then, of course, the Browns in Week 17.
That's a loss.
The Chiefs have the Dolphins, which is interesting.
Win.
But I think still win. The Saints, which is...
Go either way.
Falcons, which you have to be careful with them.
Stay away from that one, yeah.
And then the Chargers in the last week, which I think by that point the Chargers will be...
done.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting next couple weeks for the Chiefs and the Steelers. Who's going to get that bye, because I think the Steelers have the tougher schedule. But the Browns have won 4 straight, including the win over the Titans, so they are 9-3, second place in the AFC North.
Never doubt this organization in Cleveland.
They have the Ravens, they're at the Giants, at the Jets, and the Steelers, so they don't necessarily have the easiest schedule in their final 4 games either. Speaking of the Ravens, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens face the Cowboys tonight at 7 Eastern on Fox.
Can't wait. I think I'll take the Cowboys plus the points.
Well, according to Fox Bet, Lamar and the Ravens are 7.5-point favorites against the Cowboys.
I bet this one. It was a little better number. I like it better at 8, but go on.
Well, Lamar will be returning to the field tonight after being forced to sit out last Wednesday's game against the Steelers. It was the first game he's been out in his 3-year career. According to teammates, missing that huge rivalry game really bothered him.
Yeah.
And the Ravens have lost 3 straight, and they pretty much need to win at least 4 of their 5 final games to make the playoffs, because they currently sit at 3rd in the AFC North.
They're going to win the game tonight. They match up well with Dallas. The question is, can Dallas be competitive? And I think the answer is, yeah. I think
Dallas will be competitive. The problem for Dallas is their defense is not great this year, and I'm being kind. And their run defense specifically is pretty terrible, and that's what the Ravens do really well. And having